By the way, I want to see what your thoughts are on something. One of the things that I like to do is put the audience in the title. So rather than, stuff it with keywords, instead, for example, homeowners, building managers or whatever, for if you are selling something for an apartment, putting them in the title. What is your take on that? Do you favor it or not in terms of establishing that connection?
Yeah, of course I do. People, you've had, I don't know, a bunch of people on your podcast. I'm sure you've listened to you've been to conferences. Everybody has a different opinion. Do you take the time for the title to put in the keywords that matter to index properly? Or do you really take the time to make it creative to get the customer in there? I would say there's a little bit of nuance with it, depending on the market and the product. But I can tell you right off the bat, for this product, I literally said, here's an SD card. It's for vloggers, filmmakers, photographers, and content creators. And I put that in the title. So I missed out 100 characters of keywords that I could have used for more specific things with SD card, but the results speak for themselves that it worked. And so I am in favor of doing that, saying exactly who's it's for. Because again, when you look on Amazon, you're literally taught when you're a seller, just look at everybody else's listing, see what they're doing and make it better. So like, how could a customer really feel like there's authenticity with your brand if you're just doing the benefit feature and keyword stuffing game?
Exactly.
So so I do agree with you basically.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few other dimensions to this, Aaron. First of all, when you launch a listing, the biggest challenge is to get your share of the clicks available. So there may be, I don't know, 15,000 searches in a month, but Amazon is not going to show your listing on those 15,000 searches, even for the sponsored ones, because they don't know anything about the product. So the goal, long-term goal, is to steadily increase your share of the clicks. Well, guess what? Will get you more and more and more clicks. If people are clicking through your listing, right? And how will people click through your listing will depend on whether or not they connect with your listing. Mm-hmm. So, and of course, the other thing is you want people to buy. And the way to buy is to bring them to your product page. And then that will give you a conversion rate. If your conversion rate is high, that's another reason why you're going to get more and more and more click share. So one way to get your conversion high is to avoid bringing the wrong people to the product page, right? And that's the title where you put the, so I'm a big fan of this, putting who your audience is in the title. However, there is a downside to it. And the downside is they may click on it, but the minute that they land on the product page, they're no longer looking at the title, right? They're looking at everything else. Mm-hmm. So now, how do you affirm that connection? Now that you bring them onto the product page, where else do you mention that, if any?
Yeah, well, first off, I just want to say pretty much what you said right there is my initial pitch whenever a company is looking to hire me for consultation. I say what you just said about conversion, because you want to get the right customer to the listing. You don't just want to get a waste of traffic, which lowers your conversion rate anyway. And there's a lot of products out there that get so many searches per month, but it's not buyer intent keywords. And I know this from experience because I'm selling electric bikes that get 1 million searches a month, but the conversion rate on average is lower than like 0.08. So like, I totally get what you're saying. To get them to connect, I kind of alluded to it before. It's when they get on the page, it loads, and it's what do they immediately see? So obviously you need video on the page, but that's on the bottom normally, or sometimes Amazon organizes it where it shows up. I've had some listings that it gets organized and it's like the second thing, the second image basically, and then they can see a video. And now if you want to get a little bit more specific, sometimes I've tested where I have main image, video, but it's not like your brand explainer video, which can be anywhere from 1 to 2 minutes. I actually post like a reel type video that's like 6 to 10 seconds. that shows a quick blurb of the product in use, its main feature. And then it kind of gets the person more interested, like, whoa, I just saw a real quick, like almost like a GIF, you know what I mean? That moving snapshot type video, and it makes them want to look at more of the images to get more details. So when they get on that page and they scroll past the main image, they look at the second one, that is like the top, like what is, out of all the research I've done, scouring all competitors' listings, looking at different blogs, competitor websites, and I put together data in one sheet and I aggregate all of it. And it's what is the thing that gets talked about the most? Is it the fact that this person needs this feature, that this is the greatest pain point? What is it? And that's what gets exposed in that second image. And then I correlate it throughout the listing. So sometimes, depending on the importance, I'll take what's in the image visually and I'll connect it to that first bullet point if it's that important. Or the third image, I'll connect it to that second bullet point to give greater clarity on it. Because it's kind of crazy how the brain works. I learned this when I was like really getting into the depths of studying neurolinguistics, which is just the science of how your brain reacts to what you read. And some people are naturally that image type processor, but they're still reading in their mind when they're processing an image. So even though there might not even be text on an image, when you are processing it in your mind, you're processing it with text because you're talking to yourself in your mind as you're looking at it. So sometimes this again kind of gets to the interesting psychological part. If they look at an image, for example, with no text, but it makes them think about a certain phrase in their mind, and then I write that phrase as they look at the bullet point, they're like, oh my gosh, I was literally just thinking about that, and he put it in the listing right there. Because most people's attention goes to the image first and then the written copy. So if I can even put in the written copy what they're already thinking about in the image to the left, then it's just reaffirming that, oh my gosh, this brand really gets me. They know what I want. They even know the verbiage in the industry, right? Because there's slang in every industry. Each type of market, if you're a real guru in that market, whatever the product is, there's certain slang people use. And if you even know that slang, you put it in the copy and people are like, okay, this guy really knows, or this brand really knows. So that is even to like the nitty gritty, the tedious, that really separates the men from the boys. And a chat GPT cannot do that.